This dog could no longer endure the unbearable pain in its nose, and when the doctors examined it, they were stunned. The 3-year-old dog had always been full of life, running around, playing with its toys, and eagerly waiting at the door when its owner came home. But suddenly, everything changed. It started experiencing excruciating pain in its nose. At first, its owner didn't think much of it. Maybe it was just an allergy or a small infection. A few painkillers should help, right? At first, the dog would simply sneeze a lot. Then, it started pawing at its nose as if trying to remove something. But nothing was there, at least nothing the owner could see. The dog refused to eat, its eyes grew dull, and the once joyful barking faded into silence. It no longer had the energy to play. It just lay in a corner, struggling to breathe. The owner still believed it was a minor issue, thinking it would get better on its own. But then, one night, the dog let out a heart-wrenching cry of pain, a sound so agonizing that it sent chills down the owner's spine. That was the moment they knew. This wasn't normal. Something was horribly, horribly wrong. Panicked, the owner rushed the dog to the nearest veterinary hospital. But as soon as the vets saw the dog's condition, their faces went pale. Its nose was swollen, inflamed, and something seemed to be blocking its airways. The poor animal was gasping for breath, every inhale a struggle. The doctors wasted no time. They immediately sedated the dog and prepared for an emergency examination. The moment they inserted a small camera into the nasal cavity, they froze. The screen showed something moving. The vets exchanged nervous glances. What they were seeing didn't make sense. The dog had no visible wounds, no external injuries. So what was this? As they moved the camera deeper, they saw it. A dark, twisted mass, buried deep inside the dog's nasal cavity. It was alive. At that moment, the lead veterinarian ordered everyone to clear the room. This wasn't just a routine surgery. This was something far more serious. The owner, terrified, was asked to wait outside. The doors shut, and the surgical team immediately got to work. They carefully inserted forceps into the dog's nose, trying to extract whatever was inside, but the moment they grabbed it, it moved again. The assistant vet let out a gasp. The parasite was gripping onto the dog's nasal walls. It was feeding off its blood, growing larger by the day. That's why the dog had been in so much pain. Every single second this creature had been burrowing deeper, draining the poor animal's strength. If they weren't careful, removing it could cause severe bleeding, or worse, permanent damage to the brain. But they had no choice. The dog wouldn't survive another day like this. With steady hands, the lead vet took a deep breath and pulled. The parasite resisted. The dog's body trembled under anesthesia as the vets carefully maneuvered the forceps. With one final precise motion, they yanked the parasite out. And when they saw the full size of it, the entire room fell silent. It was over 3 inches long, a thick, wriggling parasite covered in mucus and blood. It had been living inside the dog's nose for weeks. The assistant vet quickly placed it in a sealed container, horrified by its size. How had it gotten there? How long had it been growing? The answers would have to wait. Right now, they had a more important job: saving the dog's life. After the removal, the team worked quickly to clean the infected area, making sure there were no more parasites left behind. The dog was placed under intensive care, closely monitored for any signs of infection or internal bleeding. Hours passed. Then, finally, the dog's eyes fluttered open. For the first time in weeks, it took a deep breath without pain. The owner rushed to its side, tears streaming down their face. They had almost lost their beloved pet. If they had waited just a little longer, the dog wouldn't have survived. It was a miracle, a terrifying, shocking experience that no pet owner should ever go through. But there was one lingering mystery: how did the parasite get there in the first place?